The top commander of the Palestinian armed group and the al-Aqsa brigades has been killed in a raid by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. Ibrahim Nabulsi was known as the Lion of Nablus. There are reports that others were also killed in the operation. Palestinian authorities say more than 30 people were wounded.
Yeah, we know that it happened, or it began at around 5 a.m., so early in the morning, when Israeli forces entered into the occupied West Bank, and they went to the old city in Nablus, which is a sort of a place, it's as its name described, it's old, and it's got buildings that are quite close together. They surrounded the building in which Ibrahim Nabulsi had sort of holed himself up. And then there was a firefight, which, according to our colleagues, our producers in the occupied West Bank, lasted for hours.
A top commander of the Pakistani Taliban, Abdul Wali Mohmand, has been killed in neighbouring Afghanistan. That's according to Pakistani government officials. Mohmand was on the US State Department's wanted list.
Well, it is a major blow to the Pakistani Taliban, also known as Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or TTP. Abdul Wali Mohmand, also known as Umar Khalid Khorasani, was a leading figure known for not just his brutality but his effective use of social media as well to put the group on the map in the last 2 decades or so. We have to realize that he's been reportedly killed at least 6 times beforehand, 3 of them being drone strikes which went after him.
Now to Ukraine, and the country's nuclear chief is calling for a demilitarized zone around Europe's biggest nuclear power station at Zaporizhzhia, which has been under Russian occupation since the early weeks of the war. Kiev and Moscow have traded blame for recent shelling at the plant that caused damage and led to a reactor shutdown. The head of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has warned that any attack on a nuclear power plant is suicidal. He wants access to the site for international inspectors. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zenensky has accused Russia of nuclear blackmail. In his latest video address, he called for international sanctions against Russia's nuclear industry.
The former US President Donald Trump has issued a statement saying that the FBI has carried out a raid on his Florida home at Mar-a-Lago. He was not in the state at the time. Mr. Trump said that a large group of agents arrived at the compound with a search warrant. They even broke into my safe, he said. Mark Lobel reports.
A spectacular FBI search on former President Donald Trump's Florida home to reportedly seize official papers he's handled. An unnamed law enforcement official told CBS that the Secret Service guarding the ex-president was notified shortly before the warrant was served around 10 a.m. and that agents protecting Mr. Trump helped the FBI investigators. Several boxes were taken away, the source said, adding that no doors were kicked down and that the raid had concluded by the late afternoon.
An inferno still rages at the Antonio Guterres power plant, the most crucial in the country. On Friday night and Saturday morning, the fire had spread to a second tank, triggering a series of explosions. 1 firefighter has been confirmed dead. Another 16 are missing. Their colleagues haven't been able to get close enough to retrieve their bodies. Over 100 were injured. President Miguel Díaz-Canel visited some in hospital over the weekend.
Libya on Monday began trying men accused of being members of the Islamic State group More than 50 men dressed in blue jumpsuits sat behind a cage in a misrata courtroom as armed security personnel kept an eye on them. They are accused of being members of a terrorist organization which is banned in Libya and of carrying out killings. In 2014, the Islamic State took advantage of the disorder that followed the killing of Muammar Gaddafi to establish itself in Libya before taking control of the coastal city of Sirte.
Parts of southeastern France ablaze. Urgent efforts to control the flames, burning dangerously close to home for residents here. This fire sweeping through 80 hectares of land. Dozens of people from the region urgently moved to nearby evacuation centres. Amidst its fourth heat wave, with temperatures of up to 40 degrees Celsius, experiencing what the government says is its worst drought on record. Now France's nuclear power regulator has extended temporary waivers allowing 5 power stations to continue discharging hot water into rivers amid an energy crisis, possibly endangering wildlife.